So and I love concepts. Like I think they're so interesting to talk about and think about and read about and so on. But anyway, so it's this concept of justice, but it also helps us by giving us particular types of justice. There's your notes. There's the actual justice article, right? Not very long. This is about so, and again, I'll post. I think it's already posted actually. The PowerPoint. They sort of leave it up to you to pick the like the research style that you're going to use, APA or MLA. They throw in Chicago and Harvard, which I just no one ever uses, but I mean somebody somewhere must. But anyway, so just trying to give you the citation for the reference page or the works cited page, which so you can use whichever one you want. Um, a lot of people think MLA is easier, but I mean MLA and APA are probably equal difficulty. So anyway, that's what that's there for, to give. Um, all right, so here we are. So the idea is you're writing about justice and the subject. You're trying to narrow this essay in order and to discuss one of the participants in the subject and one of the types of justice. Okay, because in each of these subjects there are many, different. I'm going to call them participants because I was at first I was like I'll just call them players, except for that in NFL that actually means just the players, right? So for the NFL, for example, you have the players, you have the league, you have fans, you can even have the owners, you can have so there are a bunch of different groups that are involved. Student loans, same thing. You have students, you have banks, you have the university. Your job is to try to pick one of them, like one of the participants, and discuss a certain type of justice. These are the three types, right? Retributive justice has to do with punishment, basically, right? So punishment for wrongdoing. Distributive justice has to do with sort of spreading out. It's like it's almost compensation, but it's the burdens and benefits to everybody. Like sort of everybody gains from this sort of type of justice, right? Retributive just means like somebody did something wrong, they are punished. Distributive sort of means like everybody needs to be compensated, right? So it's sort of a broader idea of justice, right? And then corrective justice means like justice where you're doing something to correct a wrong, right? If you think of people being paid for like a lawsuit that they have, a civil lawsuit, so something went wrong and they sued somebody in their life, so then they get money for that. That's like corrective justice. Anyway, so you have those three, and we just have those definitions from that one article that they're giving us, right? Just to have us. Okay, so here's the deal with this. So this week, right, for week 7, your job is really just to focus on the subject. So you're picking one of those articles, right, the one that you're going to focus on, and you're trying to really understand the different participants involved. That's what they want you to focus on for this week. So like week 8 is more about like, okay, let's then talk about how justice works. But before we do that, they want you to have a good grasp of the subject matter, right? Like, that's why they're having this thing. Like, so you basically are like, what's your main response to the reading? Did you know about it? You didn't know about it? What did you heard about it? What do maybe a personal experience? I'm talking about the student loan one on that case. You're responding to the article and you're sort of just giving your general thoughts. Then you're trying to go back and find some specific part of the article that that maybe you didn't focus on or don't remember much, but is interesting, and try to sort of carefully evaluate or focus on that specific part of it, right? That you might not have known, right? So like if I say student loan, we all have a sort of a general thing goes into our head about what student loans are. even the NFL and concussion, something goes in our head, sort of general. All right. So then I look at the article, and then I might like not have thought about some specific aspect of the subject. And so you find that, you talk about that, um, and how it relates to the larger idea. So they're just trying to get you to read the article, respond, to the general article, then find something specific in the article and discuss how that relates to the general idea. The goal of this week is essentially you want to totally understand like the different participants, okay? So you want to be able to say, in this subject, student loans or NFL and concussion, who is involved? And that we talked about, right? So the student loan, you got students, you may have students, you may have parents, you may have the school, you may have the banks, you may have the government, right? There's 5 major participants in the student loan thing. In the NFL, you've got the players, you could even do the agents, you've got the owners, you got the actual NFL, like the corporation of it. You've got television, right? So all of these things are part of the main subject. So your job this week is basically to really understand all the participants in this subject and the relationship between them, right? So you're trying to be able to understand, and that goes to the third one too, sort of like the different pressures that are acting on the participants, right? So we talked about, for the last class or the last essay, this idea that there are these external forces, right, that sort of affect the way you understand things or read things or write things. Okay, so now we're sort of looking at, yes, external forces or these participants and how they exert influence on each of the things, right? So you're a player, you have a concussion or you got hit really hard, and much of your desire is to not have a concussion, right? Because you want to keep playing, I guess, right? So you have a certain motivation, you have certain goals, you have certain, and so each participant in these different subjects has the same thing. They have a certain goal they're looking for, they have a certain sort of reason for being, they have motivations, they're being acted on by other influences and so on. So that's what this is all about, trying to get a handle on, all right, so who's involved in this whole student loan thing, who's involved in this whole NFL concussion thing, and what are their different motivations or their different purposes, their different roles. So that's sort of my summary of what this week is about.